To me, it seems self-evident that free speech and hate speech are intertwined. However, not everyone in the world shares my perspective. In order to share my perspective with persons that subscribe to a view of society that places intersectionality above that of all other virtues, I searched for a British classical liberal example of how hate speech was used specifically with the goal of helping the oppressed. This ponderance led me to one of the most famous pieces of satire ever written, A Modest Proposal, written by Jonathan Swift. This piece is one of the most effective means of gaining sympathy ever written in the English language, in part due to the fact that it advocates for some of the most horrific acts that humans can engage in. Number 1, murdering of helpless infants. Number 2, murdering for the sake of cannibalism. Number 3, genocide. In order to help illustrate how these themes bear out in this piece, I updated the language of A Modest Proposal to make it easier to understand, and then recorded this updated language for you to listen to. You will be well served to read the original if you have time for it, and I encourage you to do so. Before I continue, I must voice one concern. The views in this piece are not my own. I believe that everyone should be able to live healthy and productive lives from birth to our last days. I also believe that Ireland's global position is much improved from the time that this piece was written, and the value of the satire itself has expired. There is some risk that an algorithm will punish my channel for uploading this content. Hopefully not, since I don't think that Silicon Valley considers the Irish a protected class anymore, if ever. And these companies also seem to like having extremists on their platform. Of course, I'm referring to Stalinists, Maoists, as well as literal National Socialists, otherwise known as Nazis. It seems that those of us in the center are the ones that need to tread carefully. So let's get to it. My updated language to A Modest Proposal by Jonathan Swift. It is sad to anyone who comes through this city, the suburbs, or the outskirts when they see the buildings in disrepair, and mothers followed by 3, 4, or even 6 children, all in ratty clothing and begging every passerby for change. These mothers are unable to work honestly and forced into begging to take care of their children, who themselves grow up to be burglars and pickpockets, as they have no connection to secure an honest job. Or worse, go and work for the false king of Ireland in Spain, or sell themselves as slaves to survive. Everyone agrees that the huge number of children being cared for by struggling parents is deplorable and a blemish on our nation, and we need to find the fairest, cheapest, and easiest method to make these children productive, rather than a drain on our nation. Anyone that can resolve this issue will be remembered as a great hero. My intention is not to resolve the issue for the children of the beggars. It is the infants who are born of incapable parents that are more concerning, since these parents are forced to beg rather than work so that they can take care of their newborn. I met a man from America when visiting London. He assured me that a healthy 1-year-old makes a delicious, nourishing, and wholesome meal no matter how it was cooked. Thighs, bacon, real baby back ribs, they all have the richest of flavors. Personally, I had struggled for years to come up with an idea to resolve the beggar crisis, and analyze the ideas of others that had been proposed to resolve it. But their plans have always been inadequate. It is true that infants are very cheap to breastfeed within the first year, costing not much more than $1 per day. The mothers can certainly find that much value begging or rummaging through garbage cans. It is after the first year that children become more expensive, and therefore after this point where they become a nuisance to society. There is another advantage to my plan, as mothers will stop getting abortions and murdering their newborn children. These are huge problems in our society. No doubt, mothers do this to avoid the cost of the children and the shame of their promiscuity. You must consider how guilty they must feel after conducting such an act of getting an abortion or murdering their newborn child. Our population is roughly 1.5 million people, and I calculate that there are approximately 200,000 couples who qualify as breeders in process of pregnancy or with newborns. From this, about 30,000 are responsible enough to take care of their children. From the remaining 170,000, I subtract another 50,000 of potential children who die due to miscarriages and infant mortality such as SIDS. This leaves 120,000 potential babies born annually. This leads us to a question. What do we do with these children? And as stated, all previous plans have been inadequate to address the problem. We cannot send these children to work in factories, farming, working in construction. They can't even pickpocket until they're 6 years old, although they do have some basic skills much earlier. Our merchants have done the math, and they tell me that investment in children is too high by the time that they are, say, 10 or 12 years old to turn a profit. They estimate that the return on investment is around 2% due to the cost of food alone. And that math only works if you don't buy them clothes. Humbly, I submit to you my plan, which I hope will not cause objection. The American, as mentioned earlier, has assured me of the nutritional value of babies. I have no doubt that in addition to the recipes that he supplied, that a tomato-based or milk-based stew will serve equally well in complementing the flavors in the meat. Therefore, I humbly submit to public discussion that of the 120,000 children mentioned earlier, we reserve 20,000 for breeding. We only need 1 male for every 3 females, as we do with livestock. These children will be in a perpetual class of breeding. They are certainly less human as a consequence of their conception out of wedlock, and 1 male can definitely serve the reproductive needs of 3 women. The remaining 100,000 fattened babies can be sold to the higher classes in society. One of these children can serve 2 dishes at parties, or properly seasoned can feed a family for 4 days, especially during the winter months when the meat will keep longer. By my calculations, a 12-pound newborn will grow to 28 pounds by the time it is 1 year old. And by my guess, the landlords will love this food. Since they have already devoured the lives of the parents, they definitely have the best claim to eat the children. Infant flesh will be available year-round, but more available around February since, well, most of them are Roman Catholic, and this is 9 months after the end of the Lenten season. I will add that this solution will help resolve the Catholic question. Per capita, I've calculated that a good fat baby will yield an extra $40 per year for the parents, cost factored in. And that will make nutritious meals for wealthy families and their friends to dine on. Therefore, the children of these families, the wealthy ones, will learn the business of becoming a good landlord at a much younger age, so that they will be more effective when they get older. And again, this will be profitable for the parents, who will be getting ready to produce more babies as soon as they have sold their most recent production. Those who are more thrifty, as times are demanding, things are getting expensive, may skin the babies and make high-quality leather. This would make beautiful gloves and shoes for the wealthy. As our city of Dublin has many fine butchers, this meat will make a popular product. If possible, though, I think that buying the children alive will give the richest flavor with the freshest meat. This is how we prepare pork, after all. I discussed this plan with a highly regarded compatriot of Ireland. He was excited and offered refinement to the proposal. He said since hunters have decimated the deer population, that they may be interested in some of the preteen orphans that we have circulating around that are not able to be productive members of society. I cannot quite accept this plan, as my American friend assured me that preteen male meat is far too tough and gamey. And the females would be better served to become breeders as soon as they become of age. Besides, I think people with strong morality may object to this plan, as it is too cruel to kill someone in this age group. While it is admirable, it does not meet our nation's needs. When I raised these objections, my friend admitted that he was inspired by the Chinese practice of selling and eating carcasses after execution. It was considered a delicacy there in Formosa, as often it was fat teenage girls who they were eating. And while we have many plump teenage girls here, the math just doesn't work out. Some people in our society are concerned with the elderly and the injured, who are weak and diseased. I attempted to think of a solution for these people as well, but did not put much effort into it, as it doesn't seem to affect our situation very much. They are going to die soon anyway, and that problem will self-resolve. It is the young parents that can be productive members for our society, and they are exhausted from poverty and child rearing, which is keeping them out of the labor force. We should focus on the people in our society who have some hope and chance to succeed. I've drifted off topic, and will stop digressing. My proposal has obvious advantages in the most important ways. Firstly, to emphasize, we will reduce our Catholic population and resolve the Catholic question. Again, these are our main breeding population at present and are the most dangerous to our nation's survival. The false king is hoping to use them against our crown and regain control of the island over the objections of the good and loyal Protestants who live here. Secondly, the tenants will become wealthier, which will ensure that they can pay rent and potentially increase their productivity, as they will now have more valuable assets and will not risk some of the other items such as livestock and crops. Thirdly, the kids are expensive, and we can turn them into a moneymaker instead of a money suck. Besides, the profit, the British elite will come to love this food and pay a premium. The money will be returned to us and circulate in our local economy and be circulated among our communities. Since we will be the only producers of this product, we will not need to compete or erect tariffs. Fourthly, the constant breeders will save on the costs of raising children. Fifthly, this food will be excellent in bars where our culinary innovation happens. We will have the benefit of new recipes that will draw in new patrons from our cooks to sell their product at even higher premiums. Sixthly, this plan will encourage marriage, as many nations have rewarded marriage in the past. Mothers will be more careful with their babies, since the babies will now have value. They will work harder to feed the babies, so that they will be sold at a higher weight and gain more revenue. Marriage helps parents effectively raise children, since a stable two-parent household allows for proper division of labor and will allow to feed the babies more effectively. The women will also be better off, as men will stop hitting them during pregnancy, as abuse increases the possibility of miscarriage. We already know that farmers are careful with their pregnant horses and cattle. It will just extend within their families. There are too many advantages to list. For instance, this is yet another agricultural meat product that we can sell to enhance our trade portfolio. Baby meat is certainly more tasty than pork or pork bacon, and will serve as a premium product in the marketplace. But I will need to stop here, as this proposal needs to be brief. We can be sure that 1,000 of the wealthiest family will regularly purchase infant flesh, while the other classes will purchase it for special occasions such as weddings and christenings. I calculate that Dublin alone will purchase 20,000 carcasses, where the other 80,000 will be sold to the rest of the kingdom. As hard as I try, I cannot find one problem with this proposal, except that our population will be reduced. But this is a feature, not a bug of this plan. Besides, no other nation reproduces as quickly as the Catholics of Ireland. It is possible that no other nation will duplicate our cultural model. They won't be able to compete with us. It would be completely unjust and unfair to violate people's freedom in the following ways: increasing absentee landlord rent. They earned what they have. Adding tariffs to foreign goods. Free trade is an important principle and cannot be violated. Taxing luxury items. The rich deserve a better lifestyle than the rest of us. Taxing vices like alcohol and gambling. Our men and women need to have a good time. Encouraging temperance. Come on, teetotalers are boring. Gaining patriotic pride. Nationalism is for losers. Cracking down on crime. Fuck the police. Renegotiating trade deals. We can trust that every deal we have ever made was a good one. Legislating renters' rights. The free market must prevail. Encouraging a high-trust society. You cannot enforce a sense of duty, and everyone cheats anyway. These ideas, and all ideas like them, are stupid. They are either violations of our precious freedom or impossible to implement. I myself am frustrated at the uselessness of these proposals and fell upon the only workable solution in this essay. It is fortunate that we have something so outside the box to consider, which is actually workable in our current situation. Additionally, it is easy to implement, and the English will not object, as they will be the primary consumers of this product and will not violate their trade laws. They are our overlords after all. And of course, no one loves Irish flesh quite like the Brits. If someone else has another idea, I'm still open to rational discourse on this matter. I'm not so set in my ways as to reject any other concept which is as innocent, cheap, easy, and effective as the one outlined here. Until and unless someone comes up with a solution better, I hope that you will give this plan serious consideration. It resolves our labor force and food crises alike. I am sure that some slimebag politician will try and gum up the plan with some excuse such as parental consent. Still, as outlined, this additional income and productive time for parents will allow them to pay rent and avoid continuous problems that they have been going through while trying to make enough to eat and pay the bills. I must assure you that this plan will not benefit or profit me personally, and I am merely being a patriot and seeking to serve my country by advancing trade, providing for our children, alleviating poverty, and giving pleasure to the rich. Many of you know that I possess no children of value, with my youngest at the age of 9, and my wife past childbearing age. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration of my modest proposal.